Day to everyone. This is Dr. K's lecturecast in anatomy, and the topic we are going to discuss is about the paranasal air sinuses. Whenever we read any new terminology or any new anatomical structure, it is better to learn the meaning of the basics of the terminologies. What is a sinus? A sinus is a cavity within a bone or any other tissue in our body. A sinus can be filled with air. We call them as air sinuses. A sinus can be filled with venous blood, like how we see the dural venous sinuses in the cranial cavity. What are the functions of paranasal air sinuses? Since they are filled with air, it makes the skull lighter. They add resonance to the voice and they condition the inspired air. So they are called as the local air conditioners of the human skull. The face enlarges with the growth of these sinuses to attain into a proper shape. Paranasal air sinuses. Air sinuses are air-filled cavity. Around the nose, para means around the nasal cavity. They are lined by pseudostratified ciliated columnar epithelium because they are a part of the respiratory system. 4 paranasal air sinuses named after the bones containing in them. We will discuss one by one. What are the 4 paranasal air sinuses? Frontal air sinus, contained in the frontal bone, ethmoidal air sinus, maxillary air sinus, and behind, if you see in the body of the sphenoid bone, are the sphenoidal air sinuses. Among these, all the sinuses are paired except for ethmoidal air sinuses, which are arranged in 3 groups. You can see here anterior, middle, and posterior groups. When talking about the relations of these sinuses with the orbit, they are seen above, below, medial, and behind. Can you see above? Frontal air sinus. Below the orbit, you can see maxillary sinus. Behind, you can see sphenoidal air sinus. And medially, you can see the ethmoidal air sinus. Frontal air sinus. They are located between the outer and inner tables of the frontal bone. 2 in number. Mostly they are irregular in shape, though mostly they are triangular. All these sinuses are lined by mucous membrane, so there should be some mucus secretion, and excess secretion should be drained through the anterior part of hiatus semilunaris of middle meatus. So many terminologies. Just take a look at the next picture. This is superior meatus, middle meatus, inferior meatus. In the middle meatus, you can see a semilunar shaped hiatus, means opening. So in this, you can see opening of the frontal air sinus in the anterior aspect of the hiatus semilunaris through a infundibulum. Coming back to the relations of the frontal air sinus, let's go to this picture. In front by the superciliary arches, behind the frontal lobe of the cerebrum and the meninges covering it, and below is the root of the nose. Can you see root of the nose and the orbit? These are the relations of frontal air sinus. Coming to the nerve supply and clinical anatomy, the nerve supply to the frontal air sinus is by the supraorbital nerve and clinical anatomy. We saw posteriorly the frontal air sinus is related to the posterior lobe of the cerebrum. So there might be some infection in the frontal air sinuses which can cross the thin bony partition and can cause infection in the frontal lobe, as well as to the orbit, causing orbital cellulitis. Frontal headache is otherwise called as the office headache. Why it is called as office headache is the pain or the headache starts by like around 9 a.m., reaches the peak around mid-noon, and gradually the pain is reduced in the evening. That is why it is called as office headache. Sphenoidal air sinus, paired air sinus, situated in the body of the sphenoid bone above and behind the nasal cavity. Coming to the relations of the sphenoidal air sinus, you can see above it is the optic chiasma and the pituitary gland. Laterally you see the cavernous sinus with the internal carotid artery. And where does this drain? It drains into the sphenoethmoidal recess. Can you see here? This is the sphenoidal air sinus. This is the sphenoethmoidal recess just above the superior concha. So the sphenoidal air sinus drains here. Ethmoidal air sinus. Among the 4 paranasal air sinuses, these are the only group of sinuses which are arranged in anterior, middle and posterior group in the labyrinthine part of the ethmoid bone. Nerve supply is by the anterior and posterior ethmoidal nerves, and there is a thin plate of bone which separates these sinuses from the orbit. So any infection from these sinuses can easily cause orbital cellulitis. Always remember, whenever you come across the term itis, it is inflammation. So the cells in the orbit are inflamed. Where do these drain? They drain into the middle meatus and the posterior group. Okay, let me make it clear. The drainage of these sinuses can be again grouped because there are 3 groups of sinuses: anterior, middle and posterior group. Anterior and middle sinuses drain into the hiatus semilunaris and the posterior group alone drains into the superior meatus. Can you see here? This is the hiatus semilunaris. This is a projection formed in the middle meatus which we call as the bulla ethmoidalis, formed by the middle ethmoidal air sinus. The anterior ethmoidal air sinus opens into the hiatus semilunaris, whereas the middle ethmoidal air sinus opens into the bulla ethmoidalis. The posterior ethmoidal air sinus alone opens into the superior meatus. Maxillary air sinus, considered to be largest of all sinuses, it is pyramidal in shape, having a base and an apex. Base is directed medially, related to the lateral wall of the nose, and laterally the apex is directed towards the zygomatic bone. Coming to the other relations of the maxillary air sinus, roof is formed by the orbit, that is floor of the orbit. Floor is formed by the alveolar process of maxilla. The roots of the first and second molar teeth project into the floor, producing elevations, as well as there are projections of the canine tooth. The root of the canine tooth is the longest, and the canine tooth is just partitioned by a thin line of mucous membrane which separates the tooth from the sinus. This has some clinical importance which we'll discuss later. The base is formed by the lateral wall of the nose, and it has the opening or the ostium of the maxillary sinus close to the roof. So draining of the maxillary air sinus whenever there is maxillary sinusitis becomes difficult. So this is the maxillary air sinus outline. You can see the base directed to the lateral wall of the nose and the apex directed towards the zygomatic bone. The continuation of the maxillary air sinus relations. Anterior wall is formed by the anterior surface of the body of maxilla. Posterior wall is formed by the infratemporal surface of the maxilla, and both these walls are pierced by anterior and posterior superior alveolar nerves. Remember, maxilla bears the upper teeth, that is the superior alveolar. So, it is pierced by anterior and posterior superior alveolar nerves. Opening. Where does this maxillary air sinus open? So here in the posterior aspect of the hiatus semilunaris, the maxillary air sinus opens. Whenever we see the hiatus of the maxillary sinus, that is the opening, it is large in an isolated skull or isolated maxilla, whereas in an intact skull, it is very small. Why? Because in an intact and to say in live conditions, the hiatus is reduced in size by uncinate process of ethmoid from above, ethmoidal process of inferior nasal concave from below, descending process of lacrimal bone in front from behind perpendicular plate of the ethmoid bone. Maxillary sinusitis is one of the most common phenomenon seen during common cold. Severe common cold, we can see there is change in voice, and drainage of maxillary sinus is difficult because we saw in the base where the ostium is seen, the opening of the maxillary air sinus is seen little above the floor level. So draining is done either through the inferior nasal concha or through the canine fossa. Because I hope you remember I said the canine, the root of the canine tooth is just separated from the floor of the maxillary sinus by a thin mucous membrane, so it is easy to approach through that way for draining the maxillary sinus. So, carcinoma of maxillary sinus invades in upward direction, downward, medial, lateral, and backward direction, affecting the eyes, affecting the oral cavity, that is, the palatal roof of the oral cavity, nasal cavity, swelling on the face, and backward invasion may involve palatine nerves. So, palatine nerve supplies the upper teeth, so it can cause referred pain to the upper teeth. To sum up, I have tabulated the situation, relations, clinical anatomy, nerve supply and drainage of all these four sinuses. So take a pause here and have a comparative study of all these sinuses, because during clinical practicals, or term it as OSPE, it is very important to know what sinus they have been, and mostly the sub questions will be the nerve supply and the drainage. So here the diagrams I have used, I have taken few diagrams from Vishram Singh's head and neck anatomy, as well as from pictures which are for public domain references. And this lecture or presentation or any other material in this series is not intended as a guide for any treatments or clinical interventions. If you like my lecture, please share, like, and subscribe. We'll see you in another class, another topic. Thank you.